Hey, hope all is well with you and yours. My name is Calvin Chambers, and I'm the proud lead pastor of this incredible church here in the city of Toronto called EKM, Encounter Kingdom Ministries. Listen, if you want more information about who we are and what we're about, go to ekmtoronto.com, and all the information is there waiting for you. I'm so glad you stopped by our YouTube channel today. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to like and share. And I pray that this word you're about to hear truly blesses you. God bless.
Welcome, welcome, EKM family, those who are new and those who are old. It is an awesome privilege to be able to communicate to you on this message called consistency. Now, throughout these series, you will have heard various speakers talk about how to be consistent in your spiritual walk with God, was prayer, etc. And those are all important factors in helping you to become the best version of yourself. I'm going to talk to you about how to be consistent in your physical and your personal life. Because what I have found out is that when our personal lives get affected by life, it hijacks our spiritual life. We're so focused on trying to make everything work here that we neglect God. We neglect our walk. So we're going to talk to you about some steps, some tips, tools, and techniques that are designed to help you to become the best version of yourself. Now, I want to ask you a question. Do you know what consistency is? See, many of us think we know what it is, but I'm going to give you the definition version of what consistency actually means. It says, doing something regularly, regardless of external factors or initial challenges. It's the art of showing up and putting in the effort steadily, every time, over time, even, and here's the key word, when the results aren't immediate. I mean, how many of you actually started something, a project, and you didn't get the results you wanted immediately? So what do? We pack it up, pack it in, and we leave it alone because we didn't get what we wanted, when we wanted, how we wanted it. And being consistent doesn't care about that. It says you need to put in the work. You need to put in the effort, and you have to put the time into it. You're not going to get it immediately. But there is a pattern, and there's things that we need to go through, processes in which we need to progress. The purpose of what I found out is, and it hit me really hard when I was younger, is I grew up with a stuttering problem. And I've told this story millions of times. And what that affected was my ability to want to speak in public, wanted to communicate. It affected my self-esteem. So I ended up going to therapy. In therapy, I had to consistently show up every day for 2 years before school. My classmates knew I was going to a therapy class. They didn't know really what it was about, but it was the most embarrassing thing for me because I just felt like I was the odd person out, and I didn't want to go every day. Well, my parents said, you need to show up, Clem. The teacher said, you need to show up, Clem. The therapist said, you need to show up, Clem. And I went through process time after time. And after a few days, I was like, well, I'm still stuttering. I still feel insecure. This isn't working. I'm done. Remember what being consistent is? Even when you don't see the results immediately. So what did I do is I still had to show up. One of the techniques that my teacher instructed me to do was to read a book out loud every single day. I said, sure, no problem. Reading a book is easy. I can do it at home. Then she took it up a notch and said, now I need you to read those books in front of your classmates. I was like, listen, I can't do it. But I had to do it because if I wanted to be a better communicator, I had to put in the work, had to put in the time. I had to do what I didn't feel like doing in order to get to a place where I am right now. I feel very comfortable communicating in front of people. But being consistent means doing something that even you don't like. One thing about being consistent is when I had to read that book out loud, I had to enunciate words. I had to slow down. I had to condition myself to be patient. And we're going to touch upon that as one of the points that you can use to become much better at being a communicator. So I'm going to fast forward to my adulthood. I moved up, moved out, and I said, I want to be a better person, better communicator, because I found out that in jobs and works, if you know how to communicate the best, you have a greater opportunity to get a higher raise. Now, I don't know about you, but who wants a raise? Of course, we all do. And I realized that if I was able to present properly and effectively, then my chances of moving up become greater. So I ended up signing up for a Toastmasters course. And for 10 years, I consistently, week after week after week, presented my speech, wrote my speech, got feedback, rinse, wash, repeat for 10 years. The first year I showed up, someone said, why don't you enter a competition? I said, sure, why not? So I did it, and I was progressing really well. So I got to the finals, and guess what? I lost. I didn't even qualify. They were announcing everyone's name except for me. And I walked away going, man, I put in all that work. Like, why didn't it pan out the way I wanted it to do? And then I watched the winner walk out and get his trophy. And I went, one day, that's going to be me. And for 11 years, 11 long years, I rinsed, washed, and repeat. Wrote speeches, presented wherever I could, researched my topic, did whatever I could to become better because I had a prize, I had a focus, I had something in mind, something I wanted to achieve. And guess what? What happened to all those years of working, blood, sweat, and tears? This is what happened. I was able to win the Toastmaster District 60 Championship for public speaking. Now, I show off this trophy because I want you to realize that I saw a prize and I went for it. My question is to you, are you not being consistent because you haven't put a prize in front? What is it that you're trying to achieve? You're trying to be better health-wise? You're trying to be a better person? Trying to get your finances straight? Like, there's so many things that we have started and have stopped because we didn't focus and put a prize in front of us and said, I need to achieve this, therefore I need to take the steps that are required to get to where I need to be. And once you see that prize, that gives you what we like to call desire to be ambitious. It gives you desire to, it's something for you to look forward to. Wake up each morning knowing that's what I want to do. That's where I want to go. That's what I want to achieve. And I believe God created us with this whole inside of us, saying that in life, listen, you can't just sit around breathing in air. You're not a tree. You're destined to do great things. You're destined to do amazing things. But unless you stay consistent, unless you put in the work, you're never going to get that which God has prepared for you. You're never going to go to the places that God has lined up for you because you haven't put in the work. Think about something that happens every December 31st. January 1st rolls around, and what do people do? New Year's resolutions. What's one of the biggest New Year's resolutions? Is losing weight. In order to be that, you need to be consistent. You need to put in the work to lose the weight. And many people stop. Because why? They just don't see the results. I want you to think about that. What is it that you've started and stopped? And what's the reason why? Paul the Apostle talks about running a race. And whenever you're running a race, he says there are winners, but only one person is going to win it. Everyone who lines up is a winner. But guess what? There's a prize at the end of it. Everyone runs for that prize. That's what you do. And you think about the Olympics, because he's referring in that time when the Olympics was around. And we know Olympics is every 4 years. So for 4 years, athletes are training winter, spring, fall, summer, morning, noon, night. They're training to get that one gold medal. They have in their mind not to give up. I'm asking you not to give up. To have that in your mind that says, I am going to do that, going to push forward. in order for you to do it, you have to do things that you don't feel like doing. And we live in a world where we're, unfortunately, we base so much of our experiences on our feelings. We don't want to do something because you don't feel like doing it. And there's a quote by Jim Wilkins who says, "A river cuts through rock, not because of power, but because of persistence." I want that to sink in your mind. A water will cut through rock, not because of its power, but because it's being persistent. It's going through that rock every single day. What's the obstacle in your life? Are you going through that every single day? Are you willing to cut through it every single day? Even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. That's the version, that is what being consistent is actually about. Everybody say, trust the process. You have to trust the process. I mean, we've heard that phrase many, many times, but how many of us are actually doing that? Trusting the process. I want to give you 4 tips that's going to help you to remain consistent. So you're going to want to write these down. So get your pen, paper, your notepad. You're going to write these notes down. Number 1 is patience. Now, we live in a microwave world right now. And a microwave world, you know what a microwave is. You get your food, take it out the fridge, put it in your plate, and go do, 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 do. Press 2-3 minutes, ding, your food is prepared. You don't have to wait that long. But the difference between our generation and the generation of our parents and our grandparents is that they lived a slow cooker life. A slow cooker life. And I remember when I was growing up, every Saturday my mom would cook Sunday meal, rice and peas, curry, goat, and vegetables. The bomb. Amazing. But she didn't start on Sunday. She started on Saturday. And for the entire day, the entire house smelled like food. Beautiful. But guess what? I couldn't get into it. I'd run into the kitchen, open up the pot. Mom would slap my hand and say, put the pot down. Food's not ready. Food's not ready. I had to learn right there and then that in order to get the prize, to get that food I was looking for, I had to be patient. So rule number 1 is you have to be patient. Consistency is about being patient. So repeat after me. Being consistent means being patient. Being consistent means being patient. Number 2 is accountability. The stats in Canada says that whenever, and we go back to the New Year's Eve, everyone who starts is about 10% at the end of the year actually accomplish it. So what was the problem they were trying to figure out? Accountability. They didn't have anyone who was going to stand by that person who went to the gym to encourage them to continue. And those who had personal trainers were the most successful. Because guess what? The personal trainer doesn't care about your feelings. They just care about the goal that you yourself has promised yourself. You decided that you wanted to lose weight. You decided that you want to be healthier. Their job is to just help you to stay on track. Regardless of what the situation is, they're there to encourage you, to push you along, because they see the best in you and they want the best out of you. And sometimes you don't see it, but they've been in the industry long enough to know that when you put in the work, you'll get the results. Accountability is that person who's going to hold you to the standard that's way above what you have done right now. What's your standard? What is your standard? Because if you have someone who can see further than you are right now, you want them in your corner. You want that person in your corner. And that's going to require you to find a mentor if you have to. And I know mentors sound like they're bothering you, but guess what? Them calling you every day, them emailing you every day is because, yes, accountability. When you have someone there holding your back, you can go further. You can go further. There's a quote that Lil Wayne came up with, and he said, excuses are best made by the one making it. Excuses are best made by the one who's making it. So it sounds the best. And I'll testify. I have made thousands of excuses for why I haven't done what I'm supposed to do. And I've justified every excuse. But you know when that all changed? When I started telling people what I wanted to do. And they would call me and say, hey, Clem, I hear you wanted to start writing. Did you do that? Hey, Clem, I saw you wanted to start reading your Bible more. Are you doing that? And they had to remind me that, oh, man, I haven't been doing that. I haven't been on point. And what that does for you is you never want that person to call you, and every single time they talk to you, you have an excuse. You haven't done what you're supposed to do. That's motivation. Because you want them to call you and say, hey, have you done what you said you were going to do? And you can say resounding, yes, I did. That's what you want to be. That's what accountability person, a partner, is there for you to do. Now, Ephesians 4:12 talks about by yourself. So it says when you have a partner. So when you're by yourself, you can be overpowered. There's two people you can defend yourself. But when it says there's three cords, it's not easily broken. That's key. That's key to your relationship. Spiritually, it's also key to your life personally. Because if you can surround yourself with people who are strong enough to not allow anybody or anything to creep in and prevent you from going places, you can't be distracted. Even though things pop up. It's great when someone comes beside you and says, we got to keep walking straight. We got to keep walking straight. You need to walk straight. You can't give up. You can't give in. There's a plan for you. You want to do this. I can see this in you. Don't let this distract you. Don't let this hold you back. Don't let this prevent you. Listen, don't let your excuses sabotage what God's placed before you. I can't tell you how many times we have sabotaged what God has placed because of our inability to stay focused. And then we have the audacity to complain to God and say, it's not working. Well, of course the 12-step process didn't work. You didn't finish step number 1. So of course the diet didn't work. You hijacked it with the late night snack. We come with all these excuses. But when you've got someone who can pull you through, pull you out, pull you back on track, that's what's going to help you be successful. The third part is determination. Now, it has to be a never say die mentality. Never say die mentality. So when you have determination, what it's saying is the goal that's set before you, way too important. I want that to let that sink into your heart. The goal set before you, way too important. That's the mentality. Athletes have that. Athletes walk in every day with the mentality that says, I'm here to win. They may not have the best team, but every time they walk in the gym, every time they step on the court, every time they step on the field, every time competition comes up, their mentality says, I am here to win. When you wake up each morning, it's tough. The situation in front of you, the struggles, home life, work life, health life, I get it. It can be overwhelming. But it takes one person to wake up and say, today I'm going to make this happen. It might not work on Monday, get up the next day. Today I'm going to make that happen. Be determined to not give up, to not give in, regardless of the situation. I think of Daniel about having determination. So Daniel in the Bible is praying, and Daniel has this dream about a war, and it's bothering him, so he's praying. And as he's praying, he's prayed for 21 days, still no answer. And then an angel comes up there and says, hey, Daniel, I finally was able to get through here because I was stopped fighting a prince of Persia, which is an evil spirit. So for 21 days, this angel had a message. but never brought it to Daniel. But guess what? Daniel didn't know that. Daniel just knew, I didn't get my answer on number 1, I got to push through. Didn't get my answer on day 2, got to push through. Day 3, got to push through. He kept going, because he knew there was an answer there. He just wasn't concerned about how long it was going to take. He just knew that he had to get the answer. What answer are you seeking? What results are you seeking? I mean, it took me a while to get out of debt because I was stuck with this weight. But I had to talk to someone who said, what do you want to be in the next 5 years? Debt-free. So what are you going to do, Clem? Be determined to get there. It wasn't easy. Every day trying to find money left, right, and center. But I knew what the end result was going to be. 0 debt. And that's what I have right now. 0. Not because I'm lucky, but because I was determined. And it took people beside me to keep me in check. That was accountability. And I also had to be patient because Lord knows there were tons of things I wanted to buy, but I had to think, man, if I put this $200 towards buying these shoes, I'll be $200 behind in paying my debt. But if I can be debt-free, then I have no worries. And that was tough. Listen, I'm afraid to tell you, I was wearing the same shoes for 5 years, 3 years, holes and everything. Not the wisest thing, but I didn't have a choice. I had to think through, if I can get through this, then I got great things to get afterwards. But I was determined that I'm not going to stay in this place. Why? There was a prize in front of me. I was going to do this. Let's conclude by this. What does being patient mean in your life? Are you patient? Are you around someone who's going to keep you accountable? That's another thing. Are you determined? Because the fourth thing to make this all work, make the plan, stick to the plan. March, repeat after me. Make the plan, stick to the plan. If you don't make a plan and you don't stick to the plan, then guess what? You have no plan. And as they say, if you don't plan properly, if you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. And the most frustrating people will walk around looking depressed and frustrated and aggravated is because they never made a plan. And if you shoot for nothing, guess what? You'll hit it 100% of the time. 100% of the time if you're aiming for nothing. But if you stay focused, if you see that target, and you're patient enough, accountable enough, determined enough, you make the plan, it'll happen. Can't tell you when. I wish I could say it takes 6 weeks, 10 weeks, depending on what it is you're trying to do. But what I can tell you this is when you stick to it, at the end of it, it'll be such a relief. The trophy that I won took 10 years to get. 10 long years. And every time I look at that trophy, it's not bragging. Let me tell you that. There are people who've gotten more trophies than me. But what it tells me is this. If I can put my mind to it, if I can put my heart to it, if I can direct to it, if I can get this trophy for speaking, I can get trophies for everything in life. I'm working on relationships. I want to have the best relationship with people. I have to be consistent in developing and building relationships. I want to be the best, the sound guy when I'm at church. I have to put in the steps to do that. I want to be the best speaker. So I'm watching videos and reading books. I want to do that because God hasn't given me one gift, just like he hasn't given you one gift. But guess what? You might not be developing your gift because you've given up. Don't, and I'll say this 100 times, do not sabotage. This is talking to someone right now. Do not sabotage what God has placed before you because you gave up. Because you gave up. Be consistent. Everything in life that anyone's ever achieved is because of consistency. Consistency. Waking up day in and day out with one thing in mind. I'm going to win. Have that mentality in life, in your walk with God, in your walk relationships, at work, at school, Wherever you go, it's the same, being consistent. And I think that's what God's placed in all of us, because God's a balanced God. God doesn't have one side heavier than the other, because you are not just more spiritual than you are physical. There's a balance. And if you're too much on one side, the other side gets affected. And God wants you to be the best person, the best version of you. So my encouragement to you is to stay strong, stay in, don't give up, and don't give in. Before you go, I want you to spend a few minutes right now and write some names down. Write some names down. Who is going to be in your corner? Who do you want in your corner? Who do you know is going to help you along the way? That's number one. 2, what is it that you want to do with your life? What is it that you want to do with your life? And 3, put a time frame. And I know that's difficult, but give yourself 6 months to achieve something. Because again, if you have a goal and a focus, that 6 months is going to come quick, and you might have gotten it. But if you say, I don't know, then you may never start. And if you never start, you'll never finish. If you never start, you'll never finish. So find out who's going to be accountability, your partner, who's going to hold you accountable to yourself. 2, what is it that you want to do with your life? Think it through. And if you can do that, stick to the plan. Make the plan, stick to the plan. So I'm out. Clem, Dwyer, I wish you all the best in everything that you do, and you'll see more messages on being consistent in your everyday life. Peace.